You know angels can cry, so don't expect them not to bawl. Don't really know why you would, but I'm still telling y'all. But Aiden had plans, so I wrote things. I didn't wish to clip his wings. I don't know this song. Well, I tried. Well, medals and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking, and welcome back to another episode of... So I learned a new song today, but we're not here to focus on the new this time because this is the second episode of the continuation of the mini movie that you had a sequel, but was actually an April Fool's Bamboozle. So we're reaching the conclusion, even though it's actually would be still the introduction of the general premise. This is around the time period where, I mean, a lot of like elion shows ended up like this anyway, with only like, 2 or 3 episodes at a given time. This one still feels more like it's still getting going than the others. Of course, I myself am in no position to complain about shows that, get 1 or 2 episodes of those are off the run, but especially now that I just pitched another one, and that was the focus of yesterday's stream. But yeah, it's just that is just this one particularly feels is like the biggest missed opportunity on account of how much went into it and also how much and also like just how much it feels like it's not been established yet, or they don't really get is that it's fair shot, compared to some of the others. Even things like the donor, which then got revamped to charity. There was still something there. So yeah, the first episode definitely was more of a case of introduce the characters and put them in, I guess, the imminent situation that they're in, and now let's see what actually happens to all of them, essentially. It's the prequel episode that a lot of total drama ripoff shows potentially might benefit from, and also a number of contestants or I guess influencers in this case that also total drama ripoffs would also benefit from. But either way, let's go ahead and get back into it. This is Influencer Island Episode 2, Angels Cry 2. So, yeah, without further ado, on with the review of Angels Cry 2, Episode 2. So, for show, let me in. Yeah, though, no, I mean, no, this isn't a Tobo. I mean, it might be. What happened is that last time that we met a bunch of different influencers meant to go to like an academy at some point, but their plane crashed. So that's why this kind of like, Influencer Island. I don't know if this is the actual island or not. They could be on a reality show for all I know, but it seems to be more of a case of accidental survival rather than general challenges. But yeah, we'll see. Electric Boogaloo, exactly. Anyway, this episode contains flashing lights and loud noises. Well, considering we reviewed that band episode recently, I sure hope a few loud noises will make a nice contrast. Okay, that's not that bad of a way to like have a plane crash. You can actually even get like a sense of like the air resistance still acting upon it, which is an impressive detail that that people often forget to include with stuff like that. That being said, if the plane is nosediving forwards like that, the clouds would not be visible like that. The ground or the sea would be approaching from a distance. So this shot is wrong by comparison. It feels like the same like typing sound effect as like I was like, oh, I know it's not the Dakota Yoko sound effect. That's a little bit different.
Damn it! At this rate, we'll all end up. No.
Where's your seatbelt, Mr. The pilot, sir? We just like standing up while your plane was it was crashing, with gravity presumably affecting you less, but I guess relativity. Yeah.
I won't.
Okay, that I really like. You know, the collecting of the prop in that way. Another thing I'm excited to check out with Minimuse actually, because you can since you can import your own stuff in Minimuse, you can import like your own accessories for characters. So you can have there's not just but not just props and such. So you can even have like things like you sync up to like an actual person's head, and then all some things you can hold. So hypothetically speaking, one could import the same asset into head accessories or accessories in general, and also props, and be able to have someone remove or put on an accessory with no problems whatsoever. Which sounds incredibly trivial, but, Gacha doesn't have that.
Fail.
I would say why the passenger seat's so empty, but this is a private jet that wasn't escorting that many people to begin with. That being said, the pilot shouldn't, ultimately like abandon all the passengers like this. Although it seems like they're doing just fine, or maybe they're not. Oh, it'd be really really fun if this was like the plot twist in Weeklo, where it turns out the characters are just like have been in the bad place the whole time, even though they were just like acting completely normally, just inside like a room they couldn't leave for some time. That's what the expression of like heck as other people comes from, by the way. L'enfer c'est les autres. All right, nice edit. I think it's a little bit oh wait, no, never mind. The shutter's different. Okay, I was looking at it wrong. Yeah, very well cropped. And the birds are like actually flapping their wings. Okay. Okay.
What?
I love how like the liquid inside those bottles is still completely intact, and the bottles themselves are also intact. And the laptop.
Come on. Come on. There has to be service.
Excuse me!
Would a phone ring like that if there's no service?
Do you know what's going on?
Keep your voice down.
I'm sorry! The whiplash has got to my ears and I can't hear so well anymore. I'm still adjusting. Honestly realistic, loud noises and such. I get it now.
Let me think about that. How about... No! Now, you might believe that asking for silence is no big deal, but this nation was founded on the freedom of speech, on the
Yeah, what? What nation? Are you still in the same nation? I suppose. Although I'm guessing that, financial freedom of speech, I guess that implies US, which answers the question as to, where is this character's father president? Rhode Island, there is no service. You're unlikely to have service, but if you're going towards Influencer Island, then it stands to reason they would probably have a decent Wi-Fi connection. Again, if it is the same island, we don't know that yet.
liberty of voice! To deprive a man of these natural-born rights would be a crime!
Reminder, again, he is the son of a politician, so this does not come out of nowhere. But also, time and place, Andrew. You were just in a plane crash. Everyone's in a little bit of like, high tension here, It's kind of like what Ted Spankowski said, there aren't really creeps in this world. There are people who are alive and people who are dead. And it seems like everyone's alive so far, but we'll see.
Don't be dramatic.
What was that? I can't hear you! It must be the
I can't hear my backwards hand!
post-crash eardrum syndrome!
Quiet!
Okay.
There is no reason for him to need to be quiet. If anything, being loud is probably advantageous in this situation because, yeah, everyone else is probably also still adjusting, but you probably would need to be able to, like, hear them or, like, the noise would probably keep them awake if they're slipping from consciousness, I imagine.
Hey, fine! But I'll have you know that if you shove your hand over my mouth again,
Realistic hand jump scare.
I'm reporting you for physical assault.
Whatever.
Reporting to who? Wow, he's seething. He cares more about that than the fact that, I don't know, the plane crashed. Come on, Andrew. I thought you were like the sensical brother out of the two from last episode. What happened?
Ugh, I can already tell
What?
dealing with her is going to be a pain. I have to get out of here.
You all have to get out of there. It's not going to stay inside
where
of
are
a
you
plane that's
going?
just crashed.
Where are you going?
Why do you? What? Okay, what is her deal as well? Like, does she like? Oh yes, we should definitely stay inside here, but we're more likely to starve or encounter some, dangerous, like, injury-prone. I don't know, wreckage points. I don't know.
Move.
No,
Or we're less likely to find other people who are on the plane with us.
you don't know what's out there.
Sand?
Still, we have to wait for everyone else to wake up.
What do you mean, wait for them to wake up? Have you even checked their vitals? Do you know if they are going to wake up, if you catch my meaning? Check his pulse, Yugi. This is more like we all stick together. Well then, wake everyone up and get out of here. Also, when she says, like, wait for them to wake up, that implies that either they did not fall unconscious from the impact and are just regularly asleep during a plane crash. Like, I'm a heavy sleeper, but even that's a bit extreme. Or alternatively, that they did in fact get knocked out from the impact of the crash, and she's naive enough to think that, they're gonna all wake up alone by themselves automatically with no assistance. Someone might be bleeding out or something, might require some attention that can only be found outside of the plane.
Did she just...
Oh my goodness, leave him alone, Persephone. Just because your namesake got stuck in the underworld for 6 months of the other year does not mean you have to submit people to the same fate with you. Yeah, I've gone off Persephone from last episode. She's losing me.
And for how long do you plan on having us wait?
Until Evan wakes up.
Don't be ridiculous. That could take hours.
What was this, like, walk cycle that we're doing there? Where they were sort of, like, in place, but they were still, like, shuffling a little bit, but not as much? I don't know.
Do you know what 2 hours of dehydration does to your skin?
It doesn't matter. I'm not leaving him behind.
Perfect!
That's a fair question. What does 2 hours of dehydration do to your skin? Never thought about it from that aspect before, mostly because whenever I am dehydrated, I have other pressing matters to think about.
You can stay here with him, and the rest of us can go look for water. Is that good? Great!
I mean, they are going to find water, assuming that their supply has dwindled or they've lost it. Yes, absolutely.
Now, who's coming with me?
When you're making the obvious diva character look like the smart one, Persephone, that means that you've messed up. Although, counterpoint there, having the diva character actually be a smart person is definitely a character combination that I do enjoy. Last episode, we were just talking about, like, how Persephone's main character, in her upcoming book series, she was assumed, but not to make them like super like loving and romantic or dark and mysterious. To which someone suggested that they should do both. I said the same thing, but then they said it afterwards. So it does seem like Persephone, particularly, sort of embodies like the one-track mind, let's say, or like the one dimension of like certain characters, especially even in a survival situation. Because with survival situations, that's when people start to change, either show their true colors or end up putting on some sort of like different mask or fronts they weren't aware of before. And it seems like Persephone is Persephone's like when sort of front is stupidity versus the diva character here, who again, oh, Adeline, that was her name. Adeline Keys, which does sound like the character from Camp Creek, actually. I wonder if that's it. That's an actual connection. I don't know.
Unbelievable! I am not going out there alone! Persephone? Cyrus? Are you two coming?
No.
Actually,
Oh wait, that's Persephone. Oh, thank goodness you didn't ruin the wholesome character. Okay, I got that wrong. So fair enough. So I guess we're not getting the one-track mind from that one character. I don't remember who she was then in that case, which is probably for the best.
I wanted to stay with Evan.
Oh my goodness! I just said, Persephone. I just said, like, thank goodness that wasn't you being stupid. Okay, apparently she has an immediate crush now, or something. I know that Evan's a celebrity, sure, but I mean, you can take Evan with you, right?
On second thought, I'm fine with that. Yay, water! Great.
Yeah, I definitely elect Adeline as the leader here. She reminds me a little bit of Aubrey from Pitch Perfect, but in a way that's not actually toxic. So somewhat like Aubrey from Pitch Perfect 2, where she actually turns her, all of her like energy into like running a boot camp, and actually, being able to like rekindle the very thing that she was somewhat destroying in the first movie.
Bye then.
Okay, that's definitely a thing in this episode where like all the walk cycles are, well implemented, but they're also people don't walk at that slow speed. So they just need to be like sped up in the keyframes and keep the animation to be kept the same as it is now.
Are you okay, Adeline? Well, I'm having a bit of a difficult time. Persephone, Cyrus, you two don't think I did anything wrong?
Absolutely 100% no.
Right? No, Adeline, no!
Which again, another thing that I like about what they're doing of this character now is they say, she put like when the survival instincts are questioned, you have to assert your authority if you know what you're doing. But then you can say like, oh yeah, you actually have like an actual like insecurity about like the position you're in right now, which is again very realistic because everyone is sort of stumbling and fumbling in their own way. How is it that in the span of like only like a couple of minutes, well, I mean it's been 4 minutes, but Adeline's not been screen for that long, but it's kind of like a couple of minutes, Adeline just became my favorite character in this series.
Ever, you did the right thing. Really? Really?
Yes, really.
Oh, good. After all, it's in our best interest.
Correct.
Guys, stay here. I'll go see what it is. I feel so bad for Adeline.
Why?
What do you mean, why? You witnessed the whole encounter. What do you mean? Also, what the heck is wrong with your eye right now? That seems like it's been, like, manually altered.
Doing everything she can for us.
That's better.
Even though we were being so stubborn. She's gotta be an angel! Wait, what if we made up a...
Ah, that's the reason for the episode. Angels cry too, because, she's the angel guiding them through, but she's gonna need help as well. So yeah, we've gone from the other comparison I made before to Willow from the Owl House. Even better.
story!
How does that relate?
To make her feel better. Should it be romance or adventure? Ooh, I can't decide.
I feel like finding water is what she would care about more so now. This is a great thought for like later, once you've like achieved your mission. You know, again, fellow writer, I understand that. I understand the sentiment, but still.
Anything but romance, please.
Aw. Well, then adventure it is.
Oh, my last comment says love story. Unrelated to this right now, but yeah.
Don't worry, everybody. It was just a bird. Why are you looking at me like that?
We can't see how you're looking at her.
Like that?
Once upon a time, there were two lower deities who wanted to ascend to paradise. But to fulfill this dream,
Okay, so you're actually just improvising it all right now. Sure, okay, she's going to be mightily confused about this, and also a little bit annoyed given that you're trying to find water for your own survival, and I guess exfoliation, but yeah.
both had to perform a deed worthy enough to be notified by the heavens themselves. That's why they decided to participate in the annual fashion show. Cyrus, your turn.
What?
I can't imagine that actually, you know, like deities would just get bored at some point and create a fashion show. I've got to pitch this one to you know, the occulta people. Just like, hey, what if what if the Big Five put on a fashion show one time for all the gods for no apparent reason, and it serves no purpose in the story whatsoever?
Fine. But first, they had to come up with designs.
Gino, how's your design coming along?
Oh, I'm just putting on some finishing touches. How about yours?
I haven't even started. What am I going to do?
Very realistic, like portrayal of foreground and background of an arts and crafts
My
studio.
deadline is tomorrow, and I...
Don't worry. Adelaide,
And also, I thought they made Adeline the main character because, of course, they did.
you've always been a talented.
Actually, this is kind of like there's like a lot of like Bob's Burgers episodes that sort of follow this format, where like each of the Belcher kids will tell like their own story that sort of like fits a particular format, or like has like a certain prompt or something, and they make like an episode out of that. It's happened in quite a number of occasions, but it's actually surprisingly a formula that I have yet to tire from in the series.
Designer. I know you'll get it done in time.
But that would take a miracle!
Then become the miracle. Oh, I know what. Here. These are some of the designs I've made. I don't mind if you take a look for inspiration.
Really? Thank you so much! You have no idea how much this means to me! Could I take this home tonight?
Well, sure.
Thank you,
I guess you would be able to would need it for like, you know, unless you want to take a photo. I see. I would have said honestly, scroll through it, take a photo with your phone of the one you want to emulate, and then do that one. But yeah.
Gino!
And so, the day of competition finally arrived. Jeno hasn't seen Adelaide since, and was looking forward to witnessing her friend's creation.
I mean, she only had the deadline was tomorrow, so I guess I have to submit the design and then the costume, like the competition happens later. Okay,
But when she got there,
Rachel steals the designs. I was thinking that, like, you know, you would think that, but also if they're putting like Adeline as the main character in this, I would have thought that they would refrain from doing that to her, but maybe not.
Crowd?
Ooh, so pretty.
I could have never come up with that design.
Did someone say she's running?
Oh, Geno! Look at my design! Isn't it great?
I do like how it's like how I presume that it was a pencil sketch and therefore the colors weren't defined. That's although the headdress was definitely the giveaway that you used the exact same one way too much. Her innocent expression here probably means that she also doesn't realize like how similar it actually is. So it's not like a Chloe stealing Marinette's bowler hat design. Although that would also be really funny if she just recreated it with like the signature of like Gino at some point, just like under the armpit or something. It's like, aha, Jacques. Which, by the way, still a very dumb thing as like a proof of like identity, because in theory, you know, if that had been Chloe's original bowler hat design, Marinette could have stolen that one and just signed it herself, but that was apparently enough evidence to be like, oh yeah, Chloe, you're disqualified. Get out of here. I've never understood that.
But that's...
Next! Adelaide Keys? There's my cue! Wish me luck!
Yep, see? Oh, they've even kept her actual name, which is interesting because they're telling the story to Adeline and making her the unintentional antagonist.
Channel tried to convince herself to stay positive, but when they announced the final results...
And the winner is... Adelaide Keys!
Wait, did she not get to go on? I thought she just arrived at the competition. I guess she's already like gone on stage. Because she just like stood there the whole time.
She had the last straw.
You mean that was the last straw? She didn't have the last straw.
Jenno, did you see? Did you see?
Oh, the wings are slightly different as well. They're not entirely identical.
Won!
What? No! You didn't! You stole my design! You have to tell them that it was my design that won!
No. You have the wrong idea. I was only inspired.
Actually, you know what? Now I can see the two here. Yeah, they're not like, you know, it's not like copy the exact same design that she happened to be wearing, even though, again, the headdress is identical. But yeah, there are like differences, like the belt, for example, as well as the color scheme, the actual skirt associated with it. So like, it could have been from a different page, ultimately. But, you know, I guess you would have to, you know, get the book to prove it instead of just showing up there and doing a signature thing.
Like you said.
That's not what inspiration looks like! I trusted you, but you betrayed me!
But you told me to, and there's...
This is a common error in like kids, for example, where it's like, I just do a story inspired by this by this thing, and they'll just like copy the same thing. I did that before. A lot of my earliest my earliest you know, written works from when I was like 5 were just rip-offs of existing stories, like down to like the plot points. I'm not even kidding. But yeah, this is definitely where the drama happens.
so many
I would not expect characters of like this presumed age to make such a rookie mistake, is the ultimate thing I was getting at.
differences like...
Enough! Enjoy your prize! Goodbye, Adelaide.
Wait, no! I didn't copy, I promise! I'm not the bad guy!
Wow, she got very invested in the story that she wasn't actively a part of improvising.
Cyrus, what are you doing? We're supposed to make her feel better.
I'm trying, okay?
I do agree there's no story without conflict, but it's definitely a weird thing to make the person you're trying to cheer up the source of the conflict, rather than the person who is, you know, not the subject of it, but the recipient.
Isn't being the villain supposed to be cool or something?
I don't know what you're
Are you kidding? That's what you were going with there?
trying to do, but you need to cut it out. Nothing like that's ever happened. Why would I ever need to do something like...
Yeah, no, again, I completely agree with her here. It's just like, what? Why would this be the approach to calm her down? Just make her feel worse about herself and her presumed image. Accuse her of something entirely different than what she just did, which was for the benefit of everyone. Was there a cliffside there? Did she serious? Or it actually felt like way more than just like toppling over. I would put over a rotation there. And there it is, the angel crying.
I didn't steal. I swear, I didn't.
Roses are red, cacti are prickly. Yeah, holy Max Jaegerman, that escalated quickly.
What do we do?
Oh.
Adeline, listen to
Oh, wait, okay, she's like in a cave or something. Again, it's hard to tell without an establishing shot beforehand, but again, I'll concede backgrounds. I get it.
me. It's okay. Good people make mistakes too. What matters is
That wasn't a mistake that she made! You made her think she made a mistake. But what on earth is wrong with these people?
that you've changed.
It's definitely a difficult feat in a lot of stories to make a character to make a character who has been like, like an antagonist like this on some level, or it's like a diva character sympathetic, because ultimately they're usually the characters that presumably have it all, the looks, the funds, the beauty, the influence, whatever you might have, and they have the egos to boot. It's kind of like how I remember that I haven't seen the episode where like Chloe Bourgeois comes back in Miraculous yet, but just to use the example I used from earlier, but I know that it's caused a lot of controversy just based on the titles and thumbnails of videos that I have skipped because I haven't seen it yet. So like, but in this scenario, not only have they not established as Adeline or Adelaide to be a diva on that same level, because she at least they seem like generously they give interviews to like nice people who are fans of her. But they also showed that she was capable of more rational thinking and problem solving that everyone else wasn't available for. So yeah, the people trying to cheer up, making her feel worse about this. This is like the one time that like making a diva sympathetic works extremely well. The problem is it comes at the expense of everyone else involved. Yeah, she's lying at the bottom of a pit sobbing. And she didn't even make a mistake. She hasn't done anything wrong and said, no, the pit start telling a horrible story. She went off to protect you after the guy's in danger. Yeah, exactly. What is happening this episode now? And all they were doing before was getting water because they crashed the plane. That should take priority right now.
But what if I haven't?
It all starts by trying, doesn't it?
I mean, what if you haven't? Wait, you mean that was like an actual, like a true story? Is that what they're implying here? That this is something that actually happened from her past? So instead of like telling the adventure story that the Persephone, presumed or something, they unearthed like an old controversy that she was involved in that they somehow knew about. I imagine at some point Gina must have like made that a public knowledge, because otherwise how would they, two people who weren't there, have all those details if that's the case? That's even worse. It's like, oh yeah, don't worry. You did the right thing. Now here's a situation where you did the wrong thing, and we're gonna remind you of it, where you're trying to feel better about yourself.
And if it takes a miracle, then become the miracle. Know it's hard to forgive someone, and that it's hardest to forgive yourself. I can't imagine what happened.
She's not the one who needs to forgive anyone. What did Gino do, essentially, after she said that she's the one who lashed out and accused her of stealing? Yes, granted, she was the aggrieved part in that situation. So what does she have to forgive in the first place? Is she going to forgive that, like, other girl I thought was Persephone before, that, like, wanted everyone to stay on the plane and do nothing productive whatsoever and keep all the unconscious people asleep? Is she supposed to forgive that person? Who is being forgiven right now? Persephone and Cyrus for putting her in this mess to begin with? None of these people have done anything to earn them that forgiveness yet.
But look up, okay?
Yeah, look up, because otherwise you remember what you're in a dark pit here. Also, I guess this is somewhat symbolic, I guess, because she's in a dark cave or a pit, like she's hit rock bottom. I get the symbolism, but also people don't normally when people hit rock bottom when they've been shoved into that position, it's not usually as compelling a story getting out of that scenario.
And catch.
Where and how? Or maybe there's like ton of like they just like use like their actual clothes, maybe. And it was just that happened to be enough. Nope, looking at the clothes they're wearing right now, they're different colors, so they didn't use theirs.
I apologize.
Don't apologize. You've done nothing. You have done nothing wrong. Okay, I'll pop the brakes for a second because I feel like I sense a bond crash out here. Okay. Yeah, you had the audacity, even if she was in the wrong. You let her fall in. Well, I mean, okay, they didn't let her fall in. She kind of slipped and fell. That's the part that I don't blame them for. They should have had the foresight to not tell the story in front of like in front of gaping hole, but still. Yeah, but they did let her be stuck in there and have a major like breakthrough and completely terrified. Yes. That part I agree with you there. And for no reason. Yeah, exactly. For no reason other than to make her feel better about herself. Nothing like building someone up after you've torn them down further and they've opened up about their insecurities to you specifically. Wow. Way up for the whole time you didn't bother mentioning. You know what? It's like that scene in Dragon Ball Evolution. Yes, Dragon Ball Evolution, stay with me. Where where Yamcha actually manages to put them inside of like again a similar pit, and they stay in there for ages. They recap the exposition we got told in the opening as the audience because the characters don't know about it to get double exposition all about all about like the lore of or their lore of Piccolo and such. And then and then after like the night passes and Yamcha comes back for them, Roshi just jumps out of the hole and goes, "Enough games." And that feels about on the same level. So yeah, are you serious? Boo, exactly. No wonder Adelaide is my favorite character in this in this series. Now she's the only one that hasn't been, completely destroyed. And I did say for the record that being in a survival situation and that changing characters fundamentally is a good thing. The reason it doesn't work here is because what they're doing doesn't seem to be any sort of side effect of them being stranded. No one seems to be struggling like psychologically with the fact that they've been like cut off, except for the one person who wanted to stay in the plane for some reason and was complaining about lack of signal, which you would think go outside and check. But aside from her, like and everyone else would be acting like this is like a very normal scenario to be in. It's just like, oh, don't worry, my friend's sad. I'll tell her a story that'll make her feel worse. What's that got to do with survival? Demoralize the people that you're reliant on? Nope. So that's why it doesn't work in this situation. Yeah, toss down a rope. Okay, maybe consider what got you into this situation. What are you talking about? Drop the rope! Your yelling is really upset me. I can't even. I don't know what to do right now. I know what to do! Toss me the rope!
You two had to see that side of me.
It's okay.
Sorry, what? What was that? What did you say? You two have the what, sorry?
I apologize that you two had to see that side of me.
Oh, I've got a full sentence. What did you had to see that side? So she's apologizing now for crying. Okay. So, I get apologizing for crying, like, on an emotional level. You don't want people to see you like that. Understandable. It's a position you don't want to be in, especially if you're trying to be strong for other people. Again, goes back to Willow's arc in season 3 of the Owl House, where, one episode of season 3 of the Owl House, where she's, reliable old Willow, and it's only Kamina that notices really that, she's also going to be struggling and bottling things down, and eventually it all has to be let out at once, and she actually does break down and cries about, everything that's happened, But she didn't want to be in that situation either. But she had to be, like, repeatedly reassured it was okay. If it had played out like anything to do with this, if it anything remotely similar to what I just described right now, it would have been fine. we would have been perfectly okay because, like in this case, like Angel's Cry 2, she's been strong for everyone else, but she's had to like break down. She had a moment of weakness. The problem is the moment of weakness was brought about by the people who were trying to cheer her up and the ones she's apologizing to in the first place. So yeah, no. That scene should have been something abridged or dubbed over, make the girl yell for her to throw down the rope. Yeah, there's a lot of, ironically enough, a lot of Wiz gaming content is very abridgeable, considering that Wiz himself was one of the only people to actually do like dub over other people's existing gacha videos. Not gonna lie, that's definitely, again, if I ever do decide to do abridged gacha content, a lot of the stuff is gonna be from Elion's as Wiz gaming. I don't need more gasoline. A ella le gusta la gasolina.
It's okay. To be honest, you were always like this cold, untouchable god figure to me. Whenever I stalked your Blitzagram, I was like, whoa, she's so perfect.
That does track from last episode where we found out she's like huge fan of Adelaide, so, okay.
But now, at least I know that you're human too.
Yeah. Oh, wait, you stalked my Blitzagram?
No way! I said saw!
I mean, you do have a bunch of followers on there, supposedly, so it stands to reason, but yeah.
Of course.
Another miraculous comparison, the flustered person trying to do good ends up stalking the blonde celebrity. But anyway. Oh, I guess that was like a sharp pain or something. She tried to stand up. I guess one of her knees was ruptured. Well done, Persephone. I think that's it. That's all. Yeah, that's the song. Okay, so that was Angel's Cry 2. And I'll say it started pretty well. I remember, I say there's a lot of gacha videos out there that have like a really, really good first half and then lose their way around like the middle point and then just end up fumbling the bag, all the way through the second half, essentially. Like Winter's Power or something like that. What that one was called. Beauty is Pain is the first example I came across this. Most of the time, it happens with mini movies. This video is only 11 minutes long, but it does feel like that, where it's like, yes, you had a very strong idea for what was supposed to happen, and so to bring about this incident, but then like with the plane crash and everything, and all the effects involved, and the pilot just abandoning them to their fate as well. And them all trying to actually figure out what they're supposed to do, what kind of people are they in this survival situation, and like how they're going to help support each other, who actually does know best in this scenario. All that stuff was fantastic. Even Adelaide's first moment of insecurity of did I do the right thing? And then Persephone and Cyrus reassuring her that that's absolutely the case, and Persephone realizing that her staying with Evan was a very selfish idea in the first place, and Adelaide was definitely right about her needing someone to help along. And she did add the whole thing about the dehydration towards her skin versus actual dehydration. But even so, you can I would assume that she knows deep down that that the important bit is their own actual survival. When winter strikes back, something like that. Yeah, so yeah, the Ariane Lui video. Yeah, I'm concerned to what occurred video to release the Wrath of Bon. Yeah, well, everything I just described right now, Ghost Kitty, that's the first half. It all falls apart the second that Persephone decides to try and tell a story that to help cheer Adelaide up. Well, I guess not technically. See, it's kind of weird because then Cyrus sort of Cyrus takes over and then makes the whole storyline about designs and such, and then just honestly talks way more than Persephone ever did. So really that part is on Cyrus at that point to be okay, let's bring up this thing. And I was thinking it sounds way too that like way too specific to be and affected her on such like a personal level that's like, oh yeah, this almost seems like it was a thing that actually happened. And that because then Adelaide was like, I didn't steal from anyone. I didn't do this. As if she believes that, that was like the perception of her to begin with. I think the point was, I guess, out of this, that Elion slash Wiz Gaming wanted to like get to a point where Adelaide was pushed into crying. But the problem is that maybe this episode was a little bit too well, I say it's too early. There are no episodes after this. This is the end of the show. But in a hypothetical world where there were more episodes, I would have liked them to be like in the middle of this one, so we can see Adelaide start to like take over and become like the leader over some time, or the reliable one, and then have a breakdown sometime later after the cumulative effect of all those things. So I said before, it's Willow's arc in season 3 of the Owl House. After 40 plus episodes of worth of content, of varying lengths due to again season 3 and all the stuff that happened with that. So yeah, that's I don't know, that's what was I gonna say? Yeah, so I think that's why they need to like invent something. But there was already the insecurity that she had. I almost wonder if she could have actually like, left at some point, and then eventually after a certain point of not finding water, and maybe Persephone and Cyrus not realizing that because they've been dragged along, and this seems like a futile mission or something, the worse like Adeline gets, and then actually breaks down. Even that, I think, would have been like far better in terms of like, even if she actually had like her crying moment right after they left, it still would have been better than the people trying to make it better, making it worse, and then trying to pep her up from the state that they themselves put her in. Yeah. Instead of character entering the light, hurtling back into the darkness. Yeah, well, they elevated one character into the light, and they themselves jumped into the darkness to replace her, sort of filling in the hole or cramming themselves in there. That's what really happened. So yeah, unfortunately, considering how this all went down, from like intertwining melodies, give or take like an April Fool's bamboozle or something, sure, but like the story of like the people like of different types of influences, and the ideas of what happens with like the O'Donovan family and such, and what the whole point of those episodes was. Intertwined Melodies is still like the best part out of that, but even then, like Andrew and Robert in the first episode of Frozen Island, everything was going super well, in everything that came before this point, and then it just happened to be like utterly ruined towards the end. So yeah, I don't know, which is weird, because like normally I say that Wiz Gaming is like far better at the drama stuff than at the comedy, because a lot of the time, he like overcorrected and like, made things like actively much, much worse with his comedic style. So sticking to serious drama actually, works to his benefit most of the time. But here, yeah, it didn't. It didn't. So yeah. That's not good. Hanger judging players' reactions. Yeah, no, it wasn't. And this is not only the last episode that it's, I think, in like the, I guess, Intertwined Melodies like trilogy, I suppose, but it's also, I think, the penultimate gacha video of this kind, like a scripted like gacha series video from Elion slash Wiz Gaming in general. We have one more pilot episode after this for a completely different story that actually I think came out like 3 years after this one. Because most of the content on the channel was focused on either, singing content, or, other like, fandom and parody stuff of differing natures that's not really the kind of story things. So yeah, I guess we've just got one more, and then we're all caught up. Another channel that we've seen all the way through in terms of its evolution. And I'm just really, really hoping that we leave it off on, on a better note than this. Because we've had a lot of ups and downs with Wiz Gaming particularly. And up until now, we were totally in one of the ups. I really hope we don't finish on a down, yeah. Well, again, I can't really, complain about people like leaving stories, unfinished or like after a couple episodes or something, especially because I just pitched a new musical like yesterday. So, I can't really complain about that. But yeah, I don't know. With Predestined, I would rather that one not continue. With this one, I don't know. I would love to like at least like poach like the diva archetype of a character, and then just put her into a scenario that where just got to show off her other skills basically. Maybe I'll rejig one of the musical characters and like insert that in there somewhere. I don't know. That's all I can say for now. So I guess next week we'll finish off the Wiz Gaming content, probably for good. So look forward to that for whatever it's worth, and let's hope that it ends on a higher note than this series that started off as a musical one. So please leave a like or dislike because your opinion matters, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And on that note, until next time, farewell.